Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you once again for joining us on yet another episode of our podcast. And as always, thank you everyone for showing and showering with your support. It is a great motivating factor to keep us doing this week on week. We are at episode 4, and I take great pleasure in once again inviting Vani Suryaprakash to be a part of this podcast. She is an internationally accredited life coach and image consultant, as well as nationally accredited soft skill trainer. Welcome, Vani, to yet another episode of our podcast.
Thank you. Thank you, MJ. Greetings, everyone who are listening. And it gives me a sense of happiness and satisfaction to talk with you and share my views as well.
Yes, absolutely. We love the way you converse about the topics and share your relevant experience with us. Appreciate your time, and once again, thank you. So let me just recap our previous episodes a bit. We were talking about self-victimization at work over the past 3 weeks and the what, the why, and how to get out of it. And this week we are starting a new topic which is again relevant to our previous discussions as well. Self-victimization at personal life. Yes, you heard it right. Things are going to get personal. So Vani, the stage is all yours. You can just take it up from here.
Thank you. Thank you once again, MJ. So, as you rightly said, yeah, we are going to talk about self victimization on personal life. But
Mhm.
that itself is a very vast topic
Okay.
because we see this as part of relationship, self love, self care, self improvement, and even more. So today I'm just going to take your time in terms of telling you a story. So who doesn't?
Story time. Yeah.
Yeah, yes, MJ. Who doesn't love to listen to story, right? So
Mhm.
let me give this story because I felt this is one of the common occurrences that I've been hearing from couples who are coming to me for coaching. And I also hear this. Many people talk about it and crib about it a lot. And that's where I felt, okay, let me use this opportunity to tell the small story.
Mhm. Okay.
So let's all go to the mode of listening to story, right? So once upon a time, long, long ago, there was
Yeah.
a very small town. And there was a lady named Sarah who lived there.
Mhm.
This beautiful lady, she had a very happy childhood to start with. But one fine day, everything changed.
Mhm.
This lady, Sarah, she looked very ordinary person from the outside. However, she harbored a deep sense of self-victimization she was going through within herself.
Mhm.
Throughout her life, right from the day when she encountered one hardship, her life has been changed or turned upside down, where she encountered various challenges, setbacks, and instead of facing them head on, she started things to fall apart. She allowed herself to be consumed by a victim mentality, and that's what the story is all about. So, today
Okay.
we are going to see about this beautiful lady, Sarah, who has been consumed by the victim mentality.
Mhm.
So, Sarah's story began during her teenage. And as I said, she had a very happy childhood, and this all started one fine day when she was in her teens, um, when she faced bullying at school,
Mhm.
and we all know that how bullying used to be or how it is, and particularly at the teenage, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So at that stage of her life, rather than seeking help or standing up for herself, she started internalizing the negative comments, and she
Mhm.
developed a belief that she was inherently unlikable and destined to be mistreated. And that's the starting point, listeners, for Sarah's story, how she was consumed by the victim mentality. As a teenager, whenever we are facing such hurdles, whenever we are being bullied or any other challenges, of course, we have our own elders, friends whom we can talk to. However, Sarah didn't talk about or get help or ask help from anybody from her family or friends.
Mhm.
So, as it started beginning, as she grew older, This belief manifested into a pattern of self-sabotage. It's like a vicious cycle, as I would have mentioned in the previous episode as well. You start with something and then slowly it becomes a pattern, and then it becomes a habit, because the more you kind of do it, it becomes a habit, right? Because it gets ingrained. So that's what happened for Sarah as well. So from her teenage, she's now entering into her early adulthood. Again, Sarah is facing a series of failed relationships. So instead of examining her own behavioral patterns, she started convincing herself that she was the unlucky one in love. And all her partners were to blame for her heartbreaks. Of course, many of us would have experienced this, or at least would have heard this, right? Whenever something happens, we always ask why things are happening for me. Why always for me, right? So we externalize things. I think I said about this even in the last episode, in terms of everything is neutral until you give it a meaning. And we all tend to give a meaning and to the external factors.
Yeah.
So Sarah again was a very ordinary person, and she also started externalizing. She felt every challenge that she went through, every failure of relationship had something to do with her partner. And this attitude made it difficult for her to trust or truly connect with anyone, and perpetuating the cycle of failed relationships. So this was the second aspect of Sarah's life. So it started in her teens, and then now it is into her personal relationship factor, where she's feeling that victimized mentality. And then slowly she's moving into a workforce. Of course, as human beings, we all get into these phases, right? So
Correct.
what happens there? We did talk about this in the last 3 episodes in terms of how self-victimization works at workfront. Again, Sarah is going through similar aspects in workfront. She's encountering professional challenges as well. Instead of striving to improve her skills or seeking guidance from colleagues, asking for help, she constantly starts complaining about her workload, and she perceives unfair treatment she receives from her supervisors. This negativity makes it hard for her to thrive in her career, as her colleagues began to distance themselves from her. So slowly, her vicious cycle has expanded and it has engulfed her into it. You are able to visualize that, right?
Yeah. Totally. Yeah.
So as time moves on, Sarah's victim mentality seeps into every aspect of her life. Every day she kind of finds faults. She kind of feels that why things are happening for me, and she burdens herself and self-sabotages herself. So things are going like this. She felt like the world was just against her. Everything around her was falling apart, and she could never catch a break. Her friends, family, they're trying to offer support, advice. Okay, generally, we all know, right? When we
Yeah.
are in a situation, people tend to give advice.
Yep.
So she is also experiencing similar thing. However, she's rejecting. Of course, we all don't take advices, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So even Sarah now, because she's so much engulfed into self-victimization, now that advice piece is also not working. It's actually adding more to her plate. She's even more becoming self-sabotaging. So all these are continuously happening, and she's still in her 20s, and things are not in her control. She feels nothing is working for her, and she's an utter failure. So that's the stage where she has come up. And one fine day, Sarah is facing a significant setback at work, because this has grown a lot, just like a tree which is deep rooted for years together. Rather than viewing it as an opportunity for growth, she starts feeling into a deep spiral of despair, believing that she was destined to be a failure in every aspect of her life. So as the self-victimization starts engulfing you, that's how people start feeling. They feel like they are meant to be a failure. So that's what Sarah is also experiencing right now. And slowly, because of this negative outlook, not only her professional life, her personal life is also impacted. She's getting strains in all her relationship, not just with a partner relationship, but also with her own family, with her own friends. She's not having a very good equation now. Finally, she's hitting rock bottom. And at this stage, always there will be light at the end of the tunnel, and there is somebody who is coming as a blessing into her life. She is getting a new friend, or at least the new person who is seeing her, understand what she's going through, and then she starts being a mirror, asking her in terms of reflecting back her own mindset rather than just giving advice. And this friend, Anamika, she's a wonderful friend where she's not just sympathizing her, unlike what others have done so far. She starts empathizing with her. She understands what really she's going through. And instead of just being a speaker, Anamika plays the role of a listener. And that changes things for Sarah. So now Sarah, what she's doing is she started seeing herself with a different lens with the help of this friend, Anamika, where she starts confronting her deeply ingrained beliefs of victimhood. Because beliefs sometimes becomes your catalyst, sometimes they becomes your absolute imperator, which doesn't allow you to move further. So Sarah's belief has been impeding her progress, and she starts confronting it now with the help of Anamika. So slowly, as they are having conversations, she began to see how her self-victimization had influenced her decisions and prevented her from taking control of her life. And over time, Sarah learned to challenge her negative thoughts and take responsibility for her actions. It was a slow and challenging process. Of course, we are not Harry Potters or Hermione, right? Even Sarah was not one of them. Sarah was not from Hogwarts. She is still a Mughal. So it's not an easy one. It's a slow process, and it is also a challenging process, but she gradually started to make positive changes in her life. She started apologizing to people that she had pushed away in the past, sought to rebuild broken relationships. At work, she proactively addressed her shortcomings. She started asking for help. And asking for help, it is not as easy as we are able to hear it, right? Many people don't find it easier to even go and ask for help. So Sarah was one amongst them, and now she's able to take that first few steps to ask people for help. And as she embraced a more empowered mindset, her life started to transform. She discovered a newfound sense of agency and began to achieve personal and professional goals. But she still faced challenges because, as I said, it's not a one fine morning you wake up and everything just goes off, right? So she's still encountering challenges. It's not like all rosy. However, she no longer saw herself as a helpless victim of circumstances. She was able to take charge. She reminded herself that self-victimization cannot be a powerful force. She was more self-aware. She started introspecting every single aspect, and the willingness to break free from its grasp. All these aspects helped Sarah to get a better version of herself. So that's the story of Sarah, my friends. Now, how is it resonating with you? Have you encountered some of these things? And again, it's not that Sarah was always at fault. And I'm not saying that whoever is going through this phase is at fault. Might be from external force. However, what are we doing to make sure that we go beyond that challenge? What should we change from our perspective? You cannot always say that people don't respect me, right? If you're in an abusive relationship, yes, it's not your fault. However, what are you doing to break free from that abusive relationship? And for that, it doesn't mean that everybody has to go and get separation. That's not the intent as well, right? However, what standards are you reciprocating? What is that line that you are drawing to people? And is that line even visible? So these are something that is under your control. So what are the factors that you would like to change from your end? How many of us are ready to say, no, this is not my cup of tea or coffee? So, MJ, that's my thought for today. How about self-victimization? Hope this story had helped everybody to kind of resonate or at least understand what are the various challenges and how people have to start seeing rather than just saying why things are happening for me. Why don't you ask why things are happening to me and take that one small step to move forward?
Yeah, one small step means a giant leap. Wow, that's a great story, and more than the story, the fact that you were able to drive in the concept of self-victimization at personal life within that story, that was absolutely awesome. I'm sure all our listeners now will need a minute to just recap the story and then run their thought process. It is a great start to the topic self victimization at personal life. And folks, we continue next week, and the topic is going to be symptoms of self victimization at personal life. Do not forget to tune in next week. Before we go off, I would like to inform you the free coaching session is still available for those who register your details by going to the website www.rivacoaching.com. Today's quote: self victimization breeds stagnation, rise above the struggle, for in your resilience lies the power to overcome.
That's an excellent quote, MJ. It's very suitable for today's topic, rise above the struggle. Wow. Once again, thank you, MJ, for this opportunity, and thank you, everyone, for listening. Bye.
On that note, it's time to wrap this episode, but come back again next week. Till then, be good, do good, and stay good. Bye.